Your imagination is one of the most powerful tools on the planet, and no, that is not an exaggeration. Just think about it. Everything around you, the phone that you're watching this on, the building outside, the cars that are driving by, the plane in the sky, the clothes you're wearing, once existed as nothing more than a thought in someone's mind. Every invention, every company, every work of art, it all began in someone's imagination, because human beings are creators. And yet, what do most people use this incredible tool for? They imagine worst case scenarios. They imagine themselves failing. They imagine going after their dream job and everything going wrong. They imagine putting themselves out there and being judged or rejected, or chasing a goal only to fall short. They literally use their most powerful tool of creation to rehearse a future they don't want. And over time, those imagined failures start to feel real. And so they shape your emotions. They influence your decisions and convince you to play smaller than you're capable of. But what if you could take that same imagination, the one that is creating all your fear, and use it as a tool to create the life you actually want? And so in this video, I'm going to show you how to stop letting your imagination work against you and use it as a tool to create the life you actually want. And my first point is that you need to allow yourself to reconnect with your childlike wonder. Because we can learn a lot from children. Children live very much in the moment, and they're so curious. They look around at the world and they see endless possibilities. Their imagination is wild. You know, they're so curious, touching everything and asking, how does that work? Where do butterflies come from? What is that flower called? Why is it pink? If you ask a child, what do you want to be when you're older? They'll tell you an astronaut, or I want to be a zookeeper. Children are very much connected to the endless possibilities that exist in this world. But what happens is, as we get older, we are shaped and influenced by the world and people around us. And we start to absorb all of these beliefs. Oh, you can't act that way. No, you can't dress like that. No, you will never get a job and make that much money. That's not possible in our culture. What, you want to move country? That's not possible. You want to start a business? No, don't do that. You will fail. And suddenly all these judgments start to flood our mind, and we start to absorb other people's limitations. And now we disconnect from the world of endless possibilities, and our minds become smaller. And we start to shrink our lives. Now, if you don't believe me that the world has endless possibilities, I just again want to remind you to look around you. We take everything we have for granted, but when you connect back to your childlike wonder, you start to look at the world and be like, oh my God, this is actually crazy. Like, let's just think of planes in the sky. That's now normal to us. But imagine at that time when they created planes, everyone would have thought they're crazy. Oh, I'm going to make something that flies through the sky. Can you imagine how many people would have said, that's not possible, that's so weird, what are you doing? And yet now it's something that we all do. Or even me talking to this camera, I'm talking to this little electronic device, and you, somewhere in a different country, are looking at what I'm saying. Like, is that not crazy? The thing is, most people don't see it that way because we just now take things for granted. And we get stuck in our minds just thinking about our problems, or thinking about, worst case scenarios, or thinking about just our daily routines. And we've forgotten what it's like to have this curiosity about the world. And I believe that most people, the reason that a lot of us are addicted to our distractions, whether it's scrolling, whether it's video games, whether it's drinking, whether it's junk food, whatever our vice is, a big part of me believes that people are addicted to those things because deep, deep down, they have these desires in them of the life they truly want to live. They have these desires of who they would love to be, but they have pushed it so far down because the world has told them that's not possible. Their parents have said, no, you'll never make that much money. Don't even try. Don't even ask that person out because you're not good enough. And so we push these desires down, 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 and we disconnect from our true spirit, whatever you want to call it, right? We disconnect from our true selves, and we end up settling for this life that we don't really like. Maybe we're working this job, we're living in this certain town, we're around this certain friendship group, and we just tell ourselves, this is okay, this is good enough. And maybe for some people it is, and that's absolutely fine. But I know for a lot of people, Deep down inside, they have this dream, they have this desire of who they want to be, they have this vision, but they don't allow themselves to even go there because their mind is full of judgments. And so the first step, I think, is allowing yourself to reconnect back to your childhood, to your childlike wonder, and allowing yourself to dream. Key word being allow, because a lot of people, they do not allow their minds to envision what they truly want. Because before they even do that, their mind is coming in with judgments, and it's coming in with all these outside influences saying, you can't do that. That's not possible. You're not good enough. You'll never be able to do that. Like I said, human beings are creators. Look at everything around you. Everything around you. We are creators, and yet here is you doubting that you can get the job you want. Here is you doubting that this certain dream that you have is never ever possible. There's people in space on the moon, and you think that you can't somehow make the money to leave and go traveling. I want you to see that the only thing stopping you is not the external circumstances. It is your own mind. It is your limitations. It is your judgments. You literally have the power to create anything, and yet every day, you use your imagination to worry. You use your imagination to think about things that don't even exist, to think about how everything could go wrong, to think about how your future is doomed. And so that ends up being the reality you create. And so my second point is that you need to become aware of when your mind is making up illusions. Because any time that you think into the future and you imagine this worst case scenario, you imagine this event happening, it is just an illusion, because your thoughts do not equal the truth. Just because you think something does not make it the truth, but many of us, we are so used to thinking negatively, so used to being in this fear, and I used to be a lot in that fear too, so I totally get it. But we don't even realize that our mind is pulling us into something which is not real. And then we start reacting as if it is real, because we avoid doing the thing we want to do. We avoid taking that new job. We avoid putting ourselves out there. We avoid going after our goals or dreams because we're expecting for the worst thing to happen. You know, the problem isn't that you have negative thoughts. The problem is that you get lost inside of them. It's very normal to have negative thoughts. Yeah, I have negative thoughts all the time. I'm like, oh, is this video going to even be good? I don't know. Or what if I start stuttering? What if I say this? Blah, 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 blah. But instead of, seeing those thoughts and then sitting there and indulging in them, instead of allowing them to take me down a rabbit hole, oh, I'm not good enough, oh, this or that, I notice those thoughts, and yet I still set up the camera and I still start. I don't allow myself to engage with them, and I direct my energy to something else. Some of us are so lost inside our thoughts that we don't even realize that the reality that we are currently reacting to is all up in here. And so my second point is to become more aware. Become more aware when your mind is pulling you into an illusion, when it's pulling you into something which hasn't even happened yet. And the more you practice that awareness, the more you start to create a bit of distance between you and your thoughts. Instead of getting lost inside of them and indulging in those thoughts and sitting there and overthinking and replaying them, you become aware that, okay, this is the anxiety in my brain. This is the mind trying to convince me of these other things that might happen. But I'm going to come back to this moment right now, because this moment is reality. In this moment, nothing bad is happening, and I don't need to engage with these thoughts that bring me into this illusion of fear. And so start asking yourself, is this thought true? Or am I reacting to a story in my mind? And finally, the third point is to start imagining things working out. Now, I know that might sound a bit obvious, but bear with me, because if you always imagine things going wrong, and you always imagine worst case scenarios, and you always imagine you failing or being rejected, well, those thoughts influence your emotions, because your emotions and your thoughts are deeply, deeply connected. And so those emotions of fear, or those emotions of anxiety or stress, they stop you from taking action, right? If you think you're going to fail something, or that girl, when you ask her out, is going to laugh at you, then you're not going to do it. And so, as I said before, your imagination is so powerful because it dictates your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors. And so if you have the power to imagine worst case scenarios, and that stops you from taking action, then you also have the power to imagine best case scenarios and imagine everything working out and imagine all these things happening. And that, again, is going to influence your actions in the opposite direction. I'm telling you, the reason I was able to change my life, I used to be deeply depressed, deeply anxious, social anxiety, never went outside my bedroom, really didn't like speaking to people, and now I've completely changed my life. The reason I was able to do that is because I just had this vision of this person who I wanted to be, and I kept focusing on what if it could go right. As much as there was so much fear there, and as much as I used to think, what if I fail, what if this could go wrong, what if blah 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 blah, I then used to consciously imagine, but what if it goes right? But what if it all works out? But what if this life is waiting for me, and the only reason that I don't get there is because just I'm too scared to take action? And you know, studies show that when you visualize something, your body does not know the difference between a real and imagined experience. Just think about that for a second. Your body does not know the difference. And so if you're imagining very vividly things all failing, things all going wrong, you are literally training your body into stress. You are literally training your body as if that reality is already happening right now. And so you avoid going outside, you avoid making new friends, you avoid going again towards your dreams, you avoid doing all the things you want to do. But similarly, if you were to now start visualizing things working out, if you were to visualize that you get the job that you really want, if you were to visualize that you end up making money online, if you were to visualize that you end up going traveling, it awakens something in your body to want to take action, to drive you forward. And again, this comes back to awareness, because you have to become aware when you get caught in these rabbit holes of thinking that nothing's going to work out. You need to then become aware of that and be like, okay, here is me trying to predict the future again. This is not reality. And now consciously choose to imagine a different scenario happening. And so a good thing you can do to train your brain to focus on the possibilities that could happen instead of the negative and fear is to spend 5 or 10 minutes each morning just visualizing the outcomes you want, visualizing the possibilities that could happen, you going after that job and getting it, you trying to start the business and it working out. And when you do this, you want to tap into the emotions and the feelings of what that would feel like when you've achieved that. What it would feel like to be in your dream career, what it would feel like to be in the relationship, what it would feel like to go traveling. And you are going to prime your body to want to take action towards those things. Just like right now, you are priming yourself to fear those things. You are priming yourself to avoid taking action on your dreams or your desires, because you keep constantly rehearsing and rehearsing and rehearsing worst case scenarios. Instead of constantly focusing on what could go wrong, you want to start consciously practicing what could go right. Because like I said, we live in a world of endless possibilities. Just look around you at everything that we have created. Never forget that you have that power within you too. I hope this video made you think. All the best, and thank you for watching.